What's going on, guys? Billy here, and over the past couple of months I have really battled with how I fly my drones. What I mean is that I've bounced around between using the iPad mini 5, my iPhone 12 Pro Max, and DJI's smart controller because each of them have a really strong set of features and reasons to use one over the other. Now, to add to my list of available devices, this showed up in the mail a little over a month ago. It's Tripltek's professional level tablet, and it just may solve my issue of constantly revolving the devices that I use to fly my drones. So as I mentioned, the devices I have sitting on the table in front of me are what I've been using over the past couple of months to fly my drones, like the Mavic 2 Pro and the Mavic Air 2. Again, it's the iPhone 12 Pro Max, my iPad mini 5, and DJI's smart controller. Each of these devices has a few strong suits that makes me continue to reach for them, but they also have a few cons, which is really why I'm not able to settle on which is my favorite. For example, the iPad mini has a really perfect size screen, and it's easy to edit what I shoot on the fly because iPadOS is snappy and the Apple Pencil is great for precise edits, but the screen just isn't bright enough at all, as it only outputs 500 nits. The iPhone 12 Pro Max, on the other hand, is really convenient because it's always right there in my pocket, but it heats up really fast, thus limiting the display's max brightness level, and the constant notifications really bug me. Now, the smart controller, on the other hand, has probably been my favorite option of the three, as it's a dedicated device for flying, so I don't have to deal with the notifications or any distractions, and the screen is plenty bright, outputting a constant 1000 nits. The only problem is that the software and internal components feel really limiting, and I've also found that the connection to my drone isn't as strong as what I'd get from the stock remote controller. With all of the pros and cons considered about the devices on the table that I use to fly my drones, I feel like the Tripltek tablet was able to bring a lot of the pros from these devices into one device, and it also added some other great functionalities. The 7-inch screen resembles that of the 7.9-inch iPad mini, which I've touted to be the best screen size for flying drones. It's not too small to where it's hard to make out what's on the screen, and it's not too big to where it feels clumsy to use. Now, the screen is absolutely the highlight of this device, especially for flying drones, as it pumps out 1200 nits of constant brightness. That's 200 nits brighter than the smart controller, 400 nits brighter than the iPhone 12 Pro Max, and it's more than double the brightness of my iPad mini 5 screen, which pushes a measly 500 nits. Here, under the bright light, even when I have the screen maxed out, you'll see that it really gets blown out through the camera, which is impressive, but the real test comes when you're outside in full sunlight. It's kind of hard to pick up on the camera, but it does a really good job at cutting through the sunlight. It's nice that I don't have to hunch my back over to try and create shade over my screen. Staying on the topic of the screen, the Tripltek tablet comes shipped with this screen protector installed. It's an anti-glare screen protector, so when you've got it on, it's great to cut out the glare, and it also reduces fingerprints, so it's really easy to wipe them up and they don't get in the way, but it really does cut down on the visibility of the screen itself. I mean, if I hold this up in front of me, sure, it's been taken off and it's kind of got dust and fingerprints on the back side, but it is really fuzzy and really blurry. And when you've got it pushed right up against the screen, it is easier to see through, but at the end of the day, it makes things really blurry to see on the screen, and it also kind of seems to cut down on some of the light coming through the screen. So if you want the maximum brightness and maximum clarity that the screen has to offer, you're probably going to want to take the screen protector off almost immediately when you pick up the device. And this brings me to probably one of the biggest pain points about the screen. Yeah, it's great that it's bright, but it's only a 1280 by 720 panel put inside. Now, I think that this is perfect for that live feed that's coming back when you're flying drones around, but if you want to get into some higher level photo editing, maybe even video editing on this device, the screen really isn't going to be the best. Now, moving on and away from the screen, something else that makes this a perfect option for flying drones is the durability. The build quality of this tablet is unlike anything that I've used before in a mobile device, which is nice. I don't feel like I have to baby it when I put it inside my bag or when I mount it onto the remote controller. It's sturdy all around with no bending or bowing, and the material around the outer part of this device absorbs all of the shock if you were to drop this tablet. With that great build quality, though, comes a device that's definitely heavier than the typical tablet or smartphone that's meant to be used with, say, the Mavic Air 2 remote controller, so this feels very top heavy. Like, this could get tiring just to hold if you've got a couple of flights in a row. Now, you'll see that I have this extender that they sell well in order to fit this tablet adequately inside of the Mavic Air 2 remote controller. I actually accidentally broke mine, so I've got some duct tape holding it together and some Gorilla Glue, but this is great because it actually elevates the top part of the tablet up and towards your eyes, so it's really easy to fly with. I guess the one complaint that I have is that there's no lanyard connector on the Mavic Air 2 remote controller. That would definitely take a lot of the weight off of my hands from having to hold this massive tablet. I mean, just to give you guys a comparison, the Tripltek Pro tablet comes in at 1.45 pounds, which is almost 3 times as heavy as the iPad mini, which only weighs 0.66 pounds. This is definitely the biggest drawback in my eyes to using this tablet from Tripltek, but the build quality and battery size are the main reason why it's so hefty. Of course, all the higher quality materials are going to add on more weight, but I'd say the biggest reason it weighs so much is the 10,000 milliamp hour battery. The runtime on this tablet is seriously insane with that massive battery. I mean, typically you don't see a battery of that capacity, 10,000 milliamp hours inside of a mobile device, but it's a really good thing you can bring all of that power with you because of the bright screen that obviously will draw more power from the battery. So I find myself being able to get half a dozen flights on one single charge. Now, typically I don't fly 24 to 25 times in a day, so I can just plug this in overnight. It's good for an all-day session of flying. Usually one flight will take about 4 to 6% of battery down at that full max brightness, and even in between flights when I'm doing file management, offloading files onto Google Drive, and maybe even doing some preliminary edits inside of Lightroom, having all that battery capacity is really nice knowing if you're out for a long day. Now, speaking of some of those more powerful apps like Lightroom, Drone Deploy, and even the companion apps that go along with like the Mavic drones and Autel's Evo, run perfectly fine with the upgraded hardware inside of this tablet. The spec page for this tablet is a little bit confusing to read, but just know that the internals hold up really well when you put heavier loads on it. So I think that I've pretty much covered everything that you need to know about Tripletek's professional level tablet as it's used to fly drones with. So there's 3 really important categories that you need to look over when choosing a companion device: the screen brightness, the screen size, as well as the battery life, all 3 of which are checked off using the Tripltek tablet. I mean, it really does excel in those 3 areas, which makes this the perfect tablet, the perfect screen to use when flying your drone. Now, under there's 2 other important categories, like the durability and the actual processing power inside of the device. And it's great that this is a straight up Android tablet so that I can download apps like Drone Deploy, Lightroom, and if you want to, Facebook and Twitter to share these photos and images right from your device after you edit them and offload them from your drone. So yeah, this really has checked off a lot of boxes for me. This is my go-to tablet, and I can't wait to continue to use it, especially as we get into the summer days here and the sun just beats down on me while I'm flying my drones. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of Tripletek's tablet down in the comment section below. And as always, I'll talk to you later. Peace.